Theme number 1, communicating a shared vision. A company's vision defines the pathway forward or direction for an organization. For a company to move closer to its vision, there must be top-down communication of the vision, including the purpose and the anticipated impact or result once achieved. Without this communication throughout the organization, employees may feel lost and unsure of what leadership wants to achieve. Understanding and acceptance of the vision is another reason to ensure employees receive this communication. Employee support will provide needed support to help drive the company towards its defined vision. Communication is a critical tool in initiating and managing change. Supporting organizational change results either in a need to move closer to the company's existing vision or the realization of the need to transition towards a new vision. Without communication, the change will be extremely challenging and more likely to fail. There are many platforms managers have in which to communicate with their employees, such as holding meetings with individuals or teams, management by walking around and talking to employees regularly, or in appropriate social settings, such as a lunch or employer reunions. Managers should use these communication techniques year-round and not only when change is in sight. Employees will catch on and realize the false intent if these techniques are not used genuinely. It is important for management to understand the importance of maintaining open and honest communication with employees, as it builds credibility and trust, elements critical in dealing with change. Adam's story. After more than 20 years in an organization within the communications industry, Adam faced his most significant experience as a manager. He was called into his manager's office and told the devastating news. Layoffs were imminent, and it was going to be a significant hit to his department. Over 40% would be downsized. Over the next few months, Adam attended numerous meetings with human resources to determine all the logistics, including who would go, how employee discussions would occur, what types of severance packages would be available, and how the remaining department employees would manage the most critical processes. This took a significant amount of time and commitment to those involved in the decision-making, implementation, and department management in the aftermath of the layoffs. Although Adam had experienced layoffs as a manager before, it was for a much smaller company, and the process was handled much differently. During the current instance, his manager kept him and his peers at arm's length. Often it seemed that Adam's manager was hiding behind his office door, not wanting to face the reality of the situation. Adam linked his manager's current behavior to the same stoic behavior when any type of conflict had arisen in the past, and considered it a sign of weakness in the person who was supposed to be more of a role model for him and other managers in the organization. Despite his manager's demeanor, Adam saw his role as an extremely valuable experience and that he was recognized for understanding the big picture of the company. He realized that he was charged with an awesome responsibility to help build the future, while at the same time being recognized as having the compassion and the ability to be able to deliver the message in a way that would be received in an optimal way to where the individual would not feel persecuted. Adam accepted the news that the layoffs were going to happen. His initial reaction was the feeling of being punched in the gut. He was taken back to his prior experiences as a downsizing manager. Once those feelings began to subside, the reality of the situation hit, and he knew he was in a position where it was important to communicate the direction of the organization and the impact on its employees and their processes. Adam's ability and history in openly communicating with his direct reports and their employees is one reason that this experience would run as smoothly as possible. Adam's tone was serious, yet compassionate when he addressed his staff, and he talked to them about how the downsizing process would work. What no one realized was that after the last manager left and Adam's office door closed, he looked at the picture of his own family on his desk and he wept. The plan Adam shared with his management team was that they would first need to bring their department's employees together within the next week. During that meeting, Adam let everyone know that despite the attempts over the last year to cut expenses using authorized unpaid days off, canceling the company's annual conference, and 5% salary reductions across the organization, the executive leadership team confirmed staff cuts were now unavoidable. Most of Adam's employees had 12 or more years of tenure, and many had stayed in the same department their entire time with the company. The news came as a shock to some, but not many, as Adam had been open with them over the last year when it came to the need to implement the other cost-cutting strategies. He was sure to let his employees know that, although it would likely cause some challenges in their processes, these were methods that the organization was using to minimize expenses and hopefully avoid any more significant and life-altering impact to its personnel. Adam was frustrated with himself for not realizing earlier that he couldn't be more wrong when he said those things to his team. Adam had always been an open book, and numerous employees referenced his ability to do this well, while not overstepping the confidential nature of the products and personnel issues. The executive team and his peers across the organization saw him as someone in the ideal position due to his vast skill set, which included his ability to recommend alternatives when the decision on the table was highly impactful to employees or customers. Over the years, he built trust from the front line up because of his openness and willingness to be authentic and honest. Employees had grown to trust Adam and understood that he did what he could to minimize impacts to his people and to their processes. There were several managers in the organization, including Adam's own, who did not bear these qualities. Some did not even come close. What Adam said and did, as well as what he didn't say and do, were a reflection on him and the management team. Timely and concise communication, up, down, and across the organization, reduces negative effects, as it provides clarity and greater understanding. Open and honest communication by managers within the organization increases the likelihood of employees' openness and motivation to change. Adam's team knew he would do what he could to support them during a difficult time, whether that meant setting aside time to talk about their fears, scheduling resources to come in for career support for employees being downsized, or providing regular updates to increase awareness and decrease anxiety to the greatest extent possible. After the initial announcement about the layoffs, a small group of survivors got together to voice their concerns with Adam. Their fear was regarding the workload and stress they all felt would ensue after the downsized employees' last day. Adam listened to them attentively and talked with them about the opportunity for them to become even more empowered than they had been in the past. He met with them a little over a week later, walking into the conference room with the small bag. The bag contained about a dozen colorful sticky notepads. Adam dumped them onto the table and asked each person to grab one. Then he proceeded to walk them through an exercise to talk about the current processes within the department and who was responsible for which process. 2 hours later, the group wrapped up their meeting and felt a little less anxious. The butterflies in their stomach were still there, but they were getting calmer because of the work they had just done. This wasn't the end of the exercise, though. They still had quite a bit of work left to do before they felt things were going to be okay. Maybe not perfect, but enough for them to handle the current situation and not feel the stress and burnout employees in other departments were likely to experience. On the last day of work for the 26 downsized employees in his department, Adam left his house without eating breakfast and barely sipping from his coffee. His stomach was in knots, despite the last few weeks and months going by with little issue. He knew the ins and outs of the next steps for many of his employees, as he made sure to maintain updates and keep his door open to working through the change with them since it was first announced. 3 employees found work right after the announcement and left immediately without notice. Too hurt to say much to anyone. 4 employees refused the career search help provided and were doing the bare minimum until their time was up. Adam ached for not being able to help those individuals more, and it really pained him to think they might think poorly of the organization or him. 8 employees decided retirement was the best option for them, while the remaining 11 met frequently with the career search resources brought in and had new positions at local organizations lined up for the coming weeks. As he was driving to the office that day, a smile crossed his face, thinking of those employees he could support, including those employees that were not laid off, the survivors. Reflection questions. Number 1. Which of Adam's actions would you have a difficult time implementing, and why? 2. If Adam could hold an hour-long meeting with his peers after the initial announcement of layoffs to employees, what 2 topics would you recommend he discuss with them? 3. What do you think the small, concerned group of employees who met with Adam did next? A quote by Schaefer: "One of the toughest challenges facing organizations amidst change today is to generate employee commitment to vision and business strategy." Tips and best practices for communicating a shared vision. Number 1. Develop a well-planned vision that is easy to understand. Through a vision, an organization answers the question, "What do we want to achieve?" in a unique and simplistic statement. How does an organization know what to do if it doesn't know where it wants to go? The vision provides purpose and incorporates the organization's values. One of Stephen Covey's 7 habits is keep the end in mind, as it is essential to lay out a clear vision. A clear vision provides employees with a focal point of reference, ensuring processes and behaviors consistently relate back to the vision. Take the following into consideration when developing or reevaluating your organization's vision. What does the organization want to achieve? What is the new expectation or the organization's newly planned future state? What does the organization want to provide to its clients or customers, to its partners, to its employees? To ensure employees support the company's vision, the language and content should be clear, simple, and inspiring. Number 2, communicate the reason change is needed. Regardless of how many products, services, processes, or people are impacted by change within the organization, it is critical to ensure open communication as to the reason for the changes. Change within a company can occur for any number of reasons. Maybe the company needs to become more competitive in the marketplace to stay afloat in the industry. Therefore, there is a strong need to integrate and launch more innovative products and services. If one area does not obtain approval to replace headcount due to attrition because of a need to put that headcount elsewhere in the organization, there should be honesty around that. The truth might sting initially, but it has a way of building trust in leadership. Keeping the reasons for change under wraps will only allow the rumor mill to run wild. Even if the whole truth cannot be shared, possibly due to legal, financial, or other concerns, managers owe their employees the respect of not being completely ambiguous. Rather, what can the manager say regarding the reason for change? Maybe it's a result of timing, and the manager can only share the reason after a certain date. If that is the case, keep that promise and don't continue to lead employees down a path, thinking they will find out by a set date and end up disappointed once that date occurs. Ensure that as a manager, thought leadership goes into the right thing to say to employees when change is needed. Number 3, provide consistent messaging. You cannot over-communicate. Not only should employees be communicated with in an open and honest manner, but that communication also needs to be timely and consistent. Sharing information after the fact, especially much later, plays a part in breaking down trust between employees and managers. Tell them you told them, tell them again. This ensures they receive the message. I have realized this is true with any group. With all the information that is communicated, it can be difficult to keep track of everything. Guaranteeing your message gets heard is important.